You are listening to the Nightline Sports Network, brought to you by Travis Dever and the Dever team, 386-690-1636.
Welcome to the AAC Report, only on the Nightline Sports Network. I'm Jeff Allen. Thank you so much for listening. Coming up, we'll do a men's basketball check-in on Memphis. Frank Murtaugh of Memphis Magazine and the Memphis Flyer will join us to talk about the Tigers and their hoops exploits. He is standing by in the virtual green room and will join us in just a couple of moments. First, clean up for football. Tulsa linebacker Zaven Collins completed a sweep of college football's top defensive honors last week as he won the 2020 Chuck Bednarik Award as part of the Home Depot College Football Awards on ESPN. He had additionally won the Bronco Nagurski Trophy in December, both awards presented to the nation's top defensive player. Collins becomes the second American Athletic Conference player to win both the Bednarik Award and the Nagurski Trophy in the conference's 8 seasons, joining former Temple linebacker Tyler Matakevich, who won both awards back in 2015. And we'll be right back to talk to Frank Murtaugh about Memphis Tigers basketball when the AAC Report continues right after this.
Hey, this is Travis Dever, Kai's Real Estate, the Dever team, New Smyrna Beach. Your source for real estate and everything else, New Smyrna Beach. Proud sponsor of Nightline. Call me anytime at 386-690-1636. That's 386-690-1636. Let me show you my hometown, New Smyrna Beach, UCF's favorite beach. Go Knights and charge on.
An auto accident can change your life forever. At Chad Barr Law, we are raising the bar on what to expect from your personal injury attorney. Hi, I'm Chad Barr, and I want you to know that our entire team is dedicated to providing you with the representation you deserve in your greatest time of need. If you or a loved one have been injured in an auto accident, call 407-599-9036 for a free consultation or visit chadbarlaw.com. At Chad Barr Law, our clients come to us in need and leave as family. Offices, Altamont Springs.
Looking for more out of your Porsche? Look no further than Flat6Motorsports.com. They have the widest selection of aftermarket Porsche parts anywhere in the world. With over 85 product lines and in-depth expertise, Flat6Motorsports.com is your one-stop shop for any Porsche performance needs. Whether you're shopping for intakes, exhausts, suspension, or tuning, they have you covered. Flat6Motorsports.com is the premier Porsche aftermarket specialist. Check them out at Flat6Motorsports.com.
All right, time to do a college hoops check-in on the Memphis Tigers. The man to do that is Frank Murtaugh. He is the managing editor of Memphis Magazine, covers sports for the Memphis Flyer. And Frank, as always, great to have you back on the show.
It's great to be here, Jeff. Good to hear your voice. Happy New Year. Happy
New Year to you as well. And the Memphis Tigers currently in the American at 2-1 in conference 6-4. But, it's been a long time since they played. In fact, it was last year.
Man, they are really becoming a metaphor, Jeff, for the entire world, really. We're all in this place where we want to say goodbye to 2020, welcome this new year, and start anew. And, 2020 is reminding us that it's not quite gone. And, I mean, it's clinging to the Tiger basketball team, wrapped around their ankles, and won't let them play. Yeah, the COVID positives at 3 schools have forced them into a place where they haven't played in it's going to be close to 3 weeks if they take the floor Sunday in Tulsa. It's a bizarre time. They've had an uneven season before this virtual lockdown. But you're hoping you're at this point, Tiger fans here in Memphis are just hoping to see blue and gray on the floor again.
Yeah, and of course the last game they played, I believe it was December 29th, and they had a dramatic win over South Florida late in that contest. So now they've had games postponed with Temple, UCF, now SMU. And as you said, their next scheduled game is Sunday at Tulsa. Has there been any discussion on how they might handle these postponed games with the Tigers at this point?
Well, one of them has been rescheduled, Jeff. I think it's UCF. I know it's UCF is coming to FedEx Forum on February 1st. They're going to have what amounts to a 2-game series. The Knights will stay in Memphis 2 nights, I guess, play them on the 1st and then again on the 3rd. The others have not been rescheduled. I joined a Zoom conference today with Penny Hardaway, and he's trying to stay even keeled about all this. He said that in the beginning, early in the season, when there were some delays or postponements, or even talk of postponements, it was expected. We were neck deep in the pandemic by then. But here now, with now 3 games piling on top of each other, having been postponed, there's some disappointment and frustration setting in. You think about these young men, age 18 to 22, 23. They're wired to play basketball, and there's only so much you can do against your teammates in scrimmages and in the practice facility. So they're eager, chomping at the bit to get out there, but they've got to do it, as you and I both know, under pandemic conditions, and that's where we get back to that metaphor of 2020 just kind of clinging to us until we can get to a world where enough vaccines distributed and these kinds of extraordinary concerns and limitations aren't in place.
Yeah, and I guess you just have to deal with the cards you are dealt. Have they been able to have fans for Memphis basketball?
Early in the season, there were limited fans allowed. Jeff, I'm thinking fewer than 800, maybe in the 500 range. But of late, and any games going forward, no fans are allowed. Tennessee and Memphis, like most of the country, the positivity rates and hospitalization rates are higher than they've been in a while, and it's that's got to be top priority. There may be a blessing in disguise for the Tigers. With the 3 weeks off, they've been able to bring DeAndre Williams, a transfer from Evansville, into the mix, who had only played 3 games before this recent lockdown, and he looks more and more like a guy who will be sort of an alpha for this team, and it's a team that needs one. They need a go-to guy, whether he's the top scorer or just the guy that's the ball is going through late in the game. So there may be a blessing there, and Penny's incorporating a new offense. It's based on motion and cutting, and they've obviously had plenty of time to work on that. Rare is a new offense introduced 10 games into a college basketball season. You're a third of the way done, but that's what Penny's trying to do here, to try and find some traction for his team. So that may prove fruitful when we finally see him back on the floor again.
Yeah, and of course, we mentioned they're 6-4 overall on this season. Who are the guys that look to be the leaders on this team besides Williams?
Yeah, we're trying to find that out. I wrote about this a couple of weeks ago in Flyer, and one of the things I wrote was that a team that doesn't have a go-to, or that has 3 or 4 go-to players, has no go-to player. And right now, the Tigers have 3 or 4, maybe even 5 guys who, in theory, could be the guy. Game tied, the last 30 seconds, you want him shooting the ball. But what does that mean, and how does that translate to game action? And it hasn't translated well. Against the Tulsa Golden Hurricane, actually, a team they played in late December. They coughed up a lead late. There was no one guy ready to stop that Tulsa run. And Tulsa, remember, the Tigers played in Oklahoma last February and lost by 40 points, Jeff. It was an evisceration, the worst loss Penny's seen in his 3 seasons here. So they're trying to answer that question. Who's going to step up? DJ Jeffries is a guy a sophomore, really talented scorer, and an adequate defender who a lot of people think is the most talented player in a Tiger uniform. But he's got to show that, and he hasn't emerged from the crowd, so to speak, yet this season. Lester Quinones is another, one of Penny's highly ranked recruits. Good shooter at times. Good ball handler at times, a decent defender. He's not a game changer yet. Boogie Ellis put up, I think, 24 points in opening night. Looked great. Boogie's coming off the bench now. He can't even crack the starting 5. So it's a really good question you ask, and it's one Penny hopes to answer, and answer soon if the Tigers are going to gain the kind of ground they need to in the American Conference, which is, if you look at the standings and you look at the records, Jeff, it's having a down year. They're the Houston Cougars everybody else.
Mm-hmm. And tell me what it's like. Jaden Hardaway, Penny's son, is on the team, and how do you evaluate him? And also, what kind of Penny Hardaway obviously is a Memphis basketball legend through and through. What's that like for his son?
It's interesting. I haven't sat down with Jaden, and I need to do that. He's still young, just a sophomore himself. He had a spectacular dunk. I forget which game earlier this year, and has been closer to a rotation player than he was as a freshman. It's not a place I would want to be Penny Hardaway's son, because let's say he put up 8 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists a night. A terrific line for any college basketball player in America, but that wouldn't be his father, and that's a tough standard to live up to. I think Penny relishes having him in the program, and if nothing else, I think Jaden has developed from freshman to sophomore year, which is something you want to see, and we don't often see in this modern college basketball era when everybody wants to be there on NBA draft night after their freshman season. So the development from year 1 to year 2 is promising for Jaden, and my hope is that we see him, play in Memphis 4 years, and by his senior year, we might see a special player. He's not going to be Penny Hardaway too, but a strong Jaden Hardaway can help the Tigers win basketball games.
Yeah, it is an interesting contrast. Here at UCF, Michael Jordan's sons played here, and
right,
and Marcus, was a decent college basketball player. He wasn't going to be an NBA star, but he was a guy that could definitely be a team leader and a guy that could play some good ball. So that is kind of an interesting contrast. To be the son of a college and NBA legend is certainly a tall order.
It's tough, Jeff. You bring that up, and it's the kind of thing that I think only those sons of legends could answer. Clearly, you and I can only speculate. I think were I a son of Michael Jordan's, I would have put on hockey skates at about age 3. See how that might turn out. Anything besides the sport his father was just a master at.
Yeah, and talking about Penny Hardaway's job so far, he certainly can recruit, and players look to him as an opportunity, as a way and a route to get to the NBA. How do you think Penny is doing as far as developing players, and what are the expectations from the fan base as far as what's this going to equate to wins and conference championships and NCAA tournaments?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I'll try and give you a big picture answer, and it's a strange one because this is a strange year we're all living in. I speculated in my column a couple of weeks ago if FedEx Forum crowd would ever boo a Penny Hardaway coach team, and we haven't seen that yet. We didn't see it in the 2 seasons he's already had under his belt, and we haven't been able to see it this year because there isn't a crowd in FedEx Forum. Had there been 15,000 people in the arena the night they coughed up that late lead against Tulsa, which, again, bad memories from last February, and a good team, but not a great team in the conference, a team that the Tigers frankly need to beat if they're going to be legitimate NCAA tournament contenders, there may have been some whistles, catcalls, boos as Penny walked off the floor that night. He's finding his way as a game coach, I think, Jeff, and that's hard for those of us in the media, I think, to interpret. Many of us want to call ourselves, offensive masterminds, play callers, and we're not. Every college basketball player alive wants to play fast, and that's what coaches are trying to do to accommodate the top recruits. But Penny is trying to find some form of system, even if it is a fast system, back to this cutting in motion that he's incorporating, that will win basketball games. And ultimately, however popular Penny Hardaway is, and his popularity meter is not going to drop, not in this town. He's going to be judged as a coach by the wins and losses. And 6-4 is not what Tiger fans envisioned for him in year 3. And certainly, right now I believe they're 4th in the conference. Certainly at least a top 3 finish in the league, I think, would be among expectations for Penny to check off here in year 3. And they have a very, very reasonable chance of hitting that goal, I think, with so many conference games left to play.
And, of course, and certainly he has the backing of the administration, had a 5-year contract extension recently.
Right.
So it looks like he's going to be given, full opportunity to make that happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Penny, the hardest job in Memphis, Tennessee would be, someday whoever follows Penny Hardaway as Memphis Tiger basketball coach. He's an institution, and I think he's got that job pretty much as long as he wants it. I thought it was the right kind of commitment during the pandemic to remind Tiger fans that, and there's been a lot of loss, let me say this, over at the university in the athletic department, but to remind Tiger fans that basketball is a priority, that Penny Hardaway is a priority. He's not doing the job for money, but it's a commitment on paper from the university to his vision for what the program can be. And I know Penny talks the way a former NBA All-Star, someone who should be in the Basketball Hall of Fame would talk, that he will not stop short of a national championship as far as his goals go. And that's what Tiger fans want to hear, want to support, and now just translating that to the floor is the really challenging part. And I think Penny would be the first one to tell you that it's a little harder maybe than he thought.
Yeah, and I also have an interesting contrast. Penny kind of saw both sides here in Orlando. I mean, he was a glorious basketball player, and injuries really robbed him of a very long, great NBA career. And
Right.
he was adored until the messy breakup with the Brian Hill situation and all that stuff. So we have seen the love and the dislike in this market for Penny Hardaway. Although I think people have gotten beyond that and whatnot. Have you watched that 30 for 30 special about the Magic with Penny and Shaq?
Absolutely, yeah, and it was an extraordinary team. I did. It was powerful stuff, and they were poolside, right?
Yeah.
Weren't Penny and Shaq having a conversation, sort of a metaphorical bro hug after all these years? Yeah, it's funny and kind of sad to see that reflection, knowing how close they were to being NBA champions and what looked like the early stages of a dynasty.
Yeah, no question. And and I always marvel at that too when I was watching that documentary, and I would have these flashbacks because I got to sit at courtside in a lot of those games, and
Wow.
and Penny Hardaway was as dynamic a player as you could see on the floor. I mean, he could do everything.
Yeah, it's incredible. I've written at length and multiple times about what I just mentioned, that he belongs in the Basketball Hall of Fame. And, basketball stardom is a lot about the metrics. No one memorizes the total points scored by Kareem Abdul-Jabbar or the number of assists John Stockton dished out. It's not like baseball. It's not a numeric value that we attach to the Hall of Famers, the pantheon of greatness. Penny Hardaway, if you let's limit things to a 2-minute highlight clip, with multiple, moments for a star basketball player. I defy you to come up with even 20 guys who would impress more with a 2-minute highlight clip than Penny Hardaway. I mean, he was, as you were describing, he had your jaw dropping, and this goes back to his sophomore year, Jeff, as a Memphis State Tiger. My first year in Memphis, this was 1991-92. He did things that you just normal people don't do in a basketball court, and that's why I feel so strongly, along with his accomplishments in the NBA, that he should be a Hall of Famer. He was someone you can't duplicate.
Yeah, and Memphis State played in for early round tournament here in Orlando when he was still there, and that was really when we got the first glimpse of him down in these parts. So Memphis sits in fourth place currently as we record this on a Wednesday evening. And you mentioned, the American is probably looking solidly as a potential 2-bid league, maybe a 3-bid league, as far as the NCAA tournament goes. As you mentioned, it is Houston and everybody else. Tulsa's been playing pretty good basketball. Wichita State, even with the coaching change, seems to be navigating things pretty well. SMU and South Florida have been competitive. UCF has some nice wins against the big teams, but they're 1 and 2 in the conference. How do you see the conference faring towards as we head towards late January, early February? Yeah,
it's been so uneven, Jeff, and I confess that I have a worse sense than I normally do in mid-January of how the league's going to unfold because I've seen so little basketball. The Tigers have to be better than, Tulsa, Wichita State, SMU. Pick two of those. They've got to be better than some of the teams that are in the tier right below Houston to warrant an NCAA bid, I believe. I'm looking forward to seeing Sunday's game. Honestly, you start with Tulsa. You got a rare, in this pandemic season, a rare litmus test against a team you've already played. So can they, erase that disappointing lead in late December on Tulsa's floor where they were just embarrassed, not quite, 12 months ago? I think that's going to be a good metric. I can't see I can't see the league sending 3 teams to the NCAAs, Jeff, not the way it shapes up right now, but there'll be 2. So who's going to be, the bridesmaid to Houston? Yeah,
it will be interesting to see how that all plays out. And Frank, if you would, please let the folks know where they can follow you and any other things that you got going on that people might be interested in.
Oh, sure. Well, on Twitter, I'm at Frank Murtaugh. My last name's Murtaugh, and you can find me there. I've actually got a website now, Jeff, frankmurtaugh.com. It's easy to remember. You can find some of the writing I've done for the Flyer, Memphis Magazine, and if they like fiction, they can buy my novel, Trey's Company, there. So, I need clicks, need viewers, need readers, and I'm easy to find.
So you got a novel.
Trey's Company, absolutely. Have we not talked about this? I published. I had a novel published 3 years ago or 4 years ago now, 2017.
Okay, I didn't know.
Yeah, it's a coming-of-age story, loosely based on childhood summers I had in East Tennessee. Trey Milligan is a 13-year-old boy spending summer away from home with his grandmother, and he gets into all kinds of trouble and falls in love, and the kind of stuff you see in, The Sandlot or Stand By Me, that genre, and. I'd love for your listeners to give it a shot.
Okay, and I
find
think
it on Amazon,
and I will do the same. Add that to my reading list. So
good. Yeah, I'm surprised we haven't brought that up. I'm happy to do it here on the air with you.
Yeah, excellent.
Trey's Company.
All right, so we'll encourage the folks to get those clicks to your website as well. Frank Murtaugh, Memphis Magazine, Memphis Flyer, and frankmurtaugh.com. Thank you so much for being here.
I appreciate it, Jeff. Thank you very much. Take care.
And we'll be right back to talk about the Players of the Week in men's and women's basketball, as well as news from softball and swimming when the AAC Report comes back in a moment.
Hello, Night Nation. This is Andrew Fagley reminding you to tune in every Tuesday night, 9 to 10 p.m. on WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580, plus the WDBO app for Nightline at Night. Brought to you by Chad Bar Law. We'll be taking your calls and your texts reacting to the previous week's UCF sports action, and you never know who will show up. Once again, that's Nightline at Night, every Tuesday, 9 to 10 p.m. on WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580, plus the WDBO app. Go Knights and charge on.
Welcome. This is a promo for the Take a Left at Albuquerque podcast, new to the Nightline Sports Network. You should listen to it. I say things like this.
We need to stop blaming Jerry because we would do the exact same thing if we owned the Dallas freaking Cowboys. Do you know how much fun it is to own the Dallas Cowboys?
My guests will say things sometimes like this.
It's the Lord of the Flies thing that happens when they don't understand that things are wrong, spoiler alert, until Piggy dies.
Lord of the Flies has been out for like 100 years. I don't even know.
Sorry to everyone at home who I spoiled the book for. A book's been out for like 90 years or something.
And sometimes, rarely though, I'll say really stupid things like this. If they don't make it out of the West and the Raptors get to the finals, I will go on either this show or whoever's show and say that Kawhi Leonard is overrated because I have too much evidence of it. New episodes drop every Friday with me and some of my good friends right here on the Nightline Sports Network.
Checking out the Player of the Week honors first in men's basketball, Marcus Sasser of Houston is the Player of the Week. Led the Cougars to a 2-0 mark last week in conference play, averaging 20 points, 3 assists, and 2 rebounds per game, and he scored 28 points against Tulane on Saturday, including 8 3-pointers, a league high for the season. The freshman of the week is Ricky Council IV. The guard from Wichita State averaged 14 points, 4 rebounds in a one-on-one week for the Shockers. The freshman guard had a season-high 23 points with 6 rebounds in their win over Cincinnati on Sunday, the most points scored by a Shocker true freshman since 2009. And checking the men's basketball standings as we record on Wednesday this week, sitting atop the men's basketball standing are the 11th-ranked Houston Cougars. Currently right now, they are sporting a 5-1 conference record, 10-1 overall. Tulsa in second, 4-1, 7-3 overall. Wichita State 3-1, 7-3 overall, and Memphis 2-1, 6-4 overall in the top 4 slots. SMU in fifth at 3-2, 7-2 with their overall mark. Looking at the players of the week in women's basketball, the player of the week is Crystal Freeman of Tulane. As the Green Wave went 2-0 last week, she averaged 19.6.5 rebounds, 3 steals per game, shooting 64% from the field. She had 20.7 boards and 5 steals in a road victory at Houston, 18.6 rebounds, a block, and a steal in a road trip win at Cincinnati. The freshman of the week is Yvette Mayberry of Tulsa. She had an average of 17.5 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, and 4 steals per contest as the Golden Hurricane won twice last week. 20 points and 5 rebounds and 3 assists in the road win at Cincinnati. Then a 15.7 assist, 6 steal performance, including a block shot, as they beat Memphis. In the women's basketball standings, 16th ranked South Florida, undefeated in conference, is 6-0, 9-1 overall. Temple holding down second at 4-1. They are 4-4 overall. UCF in third place at 3-1, 5-2 is their overall mark. Tulane and East Carolina are both 3-2, with the Green Wave 7-3 overall, and the Pirates are 5-5 overall currently. And turning to softball, the team at the top of the standings following an abbreviated 2020 AAC softball season, well, they'll remain there going into the new campaign. UCF was selected as the predicted league favorite in the 2021 American Softball Preseason Coaches Poll that featured votes from all 7 of the conference softball head coaches. As we mentioned, they were atop the standings when the remainder of the 2020 season was canceled due to COVID-19. They had a 21-5-1 record and non-conference mark, and they received all 6 possible first-place votes and 36 points in the preseason order of finish. The conference regular season champion in 2019, South Florida, is slotted second in that poll. They had 31 points, 1 first-place vote overall. Houston was picked third, Tulsa 4th, Wichita State 5th, East Carolina 6th, and Memphis 7th. And before we wrap things up, a note from women's swimming. The swimmer of the week is Iona Sacha of Houston. 2 strong outings in dual action last week, helping the Cougars defeat conference hosts SMU and Tulane. She swam top 7 conference times in the 100 and 200 backstroke to sweep the those events against Tulane, adding a win in the 200 individual medley with a time of 2:04.74. And the women's diver of the week is Hedda Grells of Houston, a standout showing in that dual victory over Tulane, sweeping both diving events. She scored 275.77 points off the 1-meter board to take the win with an NCAA zone qualifying score. And she completed the meet sweep with 303.82 points for a second victory and zone mark during that meet. And that will do it for this edition of the AAC Report. As always, please follow me on Twitter at JeffAllen_88. And you can also follow the Nightline Sports Network at UCF_Nightline. Thanks for listening to the AAC Report only on the Nightline Sports Network. I'm Jeff Allen.